settle in as we welcome ourselves into this meditation time that we'll share together. As you allow your body just to settle and to get comfortable, I would encourage you just to gently cast your eyes down, close your eyes, whatever feels right, and just really give yourself these few minutes. Whatever it is that brought you to this moment, whether it was a reminder or an alarm or a habit, the point is you've arrived. And so by casting the eyes down, closing the eyes, getting the body comfortable, you're really giving yourself permission to be here, to be now in this present moment. And so we'll settle in together with a little bit of breath. And so first we'll breathe together, and then I encourage you find a rate of breath that will take you through these minutes that we'll share. A pace that feels nourishing and nurturing. But first together, let's settle. So take a slow, deep breath in. And then just sigh it out. And a slow, deep breath in. Then release, let it go. And then one more together, breathing in and breathing out. And then again, finding a pace, a rhythm that feels right for you. And as we've gathered here for these few minutes that we have, there is a storm brewing in the Gulf. And for many of us here in this southern part of Texas, it's not very far away. But no matter where we are in the world, and no matter where we are in geography of things, we have these tools available to us when it comes to weather that help us to plan. And so I would invite you just to pause for a second and just think to yourself how many times you've checked these weather forecasts over the last several days as it relates to this hurricane that's coming. You know, generations ago, we didn't have these things, and weather would arrive and people would just do the very best that they could as the weather came. But technology has advanced in such a way that it was over a week ago that we began tracking the storm. And for those of us that live in Texas, beginning to notice when it was projected to come. A week before it was even anywhere near us. That's the gift, the blessing that this technology has given us. And in that time, without bringing in worry and anxiety, it gives us a chance to plan. It gives us a chance to check in with resources, to make the right arrangements, not to plan with this impending doom in our mind, but rather just to plan in a way that no matter what level of destruction might come, we've shored ourselves up and we're ready. And so as I've watched just this tracking myself and then the community of this coming storm, I've thought a lot about how what we've done these last few days is so much like this practice. It's like the practice on our yoga mat. It's like the practice here on this metaphorical cushion, this spot where we are together now. We have these resources available to us where we can shore ourselves up no matter what storm is coming. Tomorrow, next week, months and months away. But the beautiful thing is that we don't sit or practice meditation, yoga, pranayama, all these great gifts. We don't do these things to get ourselves ready for the storm. We do these things as a habit of life. And I know that oftentimes when we're early in this meditation practice or this meditation habit, it does feel like an isolated 20 minutes here or 20 minutes there. or 2 minutes here. But what we find is that the more we practice, the more we gather in the resources that are internal, the more this doesn't just become storm preparation, it just becomes a way of life. And so I would just encourage you for just a few seconds, just think, if this impending storm, this hurricane, has something to do with the path of where you live, just think, what have you done in the last few days to begin to prepare? What resources did you check to make sure that you had? I saw lines of cars at the gas station today and just wondered if that was because of the storm. I looked up on the telephone wires above our house and the number of birds that were just sitting there. I imagine chatting about what they will do as they felt within their beings that a storm was coming. So preparations are happening all around us. We are the very good what if species. We want to have things because we don't want the what if to come and not be prepared. Well, when it comes to this practice, I think about the advances of technology that's given us this weather forecasting. But what this technology does and this practice that we're engaging in now, the technology, if you want to call it that, is these different levels of consciousness. We start off with a showing up, and that is a beautiful way to begin. Then all of a sudden we notice after a few times the body gets less restless after a few minutes. And then all of a sudden we notice that the mind doesn't pull us away as many times as it did in those first months. And then we notice that the here and the now truly begins to feel like one moment that is timeless, that's seemingly infinite, because as a moment ends, the next arrives, and we just live in the present moment. And so through this practice, these different levels of consciousness and awareness arise the same way that technology advances in our material world. But the difference here is that we're not planning for the what ifs. We're choosing a way of being. And so it's the same way you've thought about the allocation of your resources, the gas in your tank, the water in your home, the batteries in your flashlight, whatever the things are. Let's just reflect on what this practice does for us as preparation for life. We show up. We get comfortable. We give our body permission to relax. And then we give our body permission to move and adjust if it gets a little restless. We give our emotions permission to begin to calm a bit. We give our mind permission to just stop being so efficient for a little while. Stop being so busy. And then we tap into that breath and we give it permission to just wrap it all up and hold it all together. And then we experience meditation. Sometimes it's one breath at a time. Sometimes it's this beautiful, seamless, one breath after the other. And sometimes we struggle. And the mind does distract and the body does get restless. And then we show up again. And we go through the same parts again. And our awareness grows a little stronger. And after doing that a few times, we rise up from this cushion, this spot. and someone in our home, or someone on a social media feed, or someone on an email says something that's a little bothersome, and we notice that we don't react, and then we go to work the next day, and the traffic is not being very cooperative, and we notice that we don't get as impatient as we used to. And then we experience something later that week that hurts our heart. Maybe there's loss or heartbreak. But we notice that this time, unlike the last heartbreaks that we've experienced, this time we still have this sense of this abiding peace within, even in the midst of the heartbreak. That's the kind of resources for life that this practice gives. Yes, it is important to have gas in your tank when there's a storm coming, and it's important to have batteries in your flashlights. But it is really important that the time we spend here showing up and breathing and seeking awareness and breathing again, it's really important that when we rise up, those things go with us. These hurricane preparations will come and go. This storm will pass. But our life continues. So how are you preparing for that? And for this collective group, it's just a matter of time before one of us experiences a big storm. It's just a matter of time before someone in our collective experiences pain. Those things are just part of this human existence. And so how will this practice prepare us for life, for living, for being? So I would invite us all just to sit for these next couple of minutes in the quiet. In the same way you could see yourself physically preparing for this impending storm, see yourself rising up from this spot and living out this practice with the thoughts that you have and the words that you say and the actions that you engage in. As we sit, see that. And as you continue to breathe, continue to sit and be, I want to share with you how the things that I've learned have really informed the way that I live, even as it relates to preparing for a hurricane. I believe that in this moment today, my dad is so very proud, because he always taught us that you didn't check the batteries in your flashlight because there was a storm coming. You just always made sure that you had fresh batteries in your flashlight. And when that tank in your car got to right above a quarter of a tank, you filled it up. And you didn't have to worry if a storm was coming and you needed to get gas. He taught us these things growing up as a way of life. And so today I didn't scurry about as a storm is heading to our community. I didn't do anything on the list. I just kept living the same way when just days ago I experienced a challenge, a really tough situation with someone. And I took a breath and I kept living out this practice, even in the midst of the challenge. And I don't share these things to tell you that I am anyone special or that I have done anything great. I share this to tell you that it is possible. The same way it's possible to always have fresh batteries in your flashlight. It is possible to live out this practice every single day. We do it through the breath. We do it through the awareness. And we do it through the stability we feel here each time we show up. Building up these resources. And then rising up and living. As we close out our time together, let's just take a couple breaths just to seal this time, seal this practice, seal this commitment to how we want to live. So just take a slow, deep breath in. And exhale, let it go. One more together, breathing in and breathing out. Namaste.